Create a file called hello.c and type these 7 lines. This is the traditional first program in almost every language, and in C it has been the first program since Kernighan and Ritchie printed it in 1978. Compile it with the line we settled on in the last chapter, gcc-std equals c17-w-w extra-o hello, hello.c, then run./hello, and it prints hello world. That is the entire program. 7 lines, and every one of them is worth a paragraph, which is exactly what this lesson and the next one are, those 7 lines taken apart properly, because everything else in C is built on top of them. Line 1. The hash symbol marks a preprocessor directive, an instruction handled before the compiler proper ever sees your file. Include stdio.h means find the header file stdio.h in the system include directories and paste its entire contents right here. Textually, literally. Now the important part, because this is where most people's mental model goes wrong. stdio.h does not contain the code for printf. It contains a declaration, a promise that a function called printf exists, that it takes a string plus any number of further arguments, and that it returns an int. The actual machine code for printf lives in the C standard library, and the linker attaches that much later. The header supplies the promise, the library supplies the implementation. Angle brackets mean search the system directories. Double quotes mean search my own project directory first, which is what you will use for your own headers in Chapter 16. And do not be tempted to leave the include out. Without it, calling printf is an error in C99 and later. Some compilers accept it with a warning and then generate subtly wrong code, passing a double incorrectly. For instance, always include the header for every function you call. Line 2. Execution begins here. Int is the return type. Main hands an integer back to the operating system when it finishes. Main is the name, and the C standard mandates that exact spelling. You cannot call it start, or begin, or anything else. And void, inside the parentheses, is the parameter list. It says explicitly, this function takes no arguments. There are exactly 2 portable signatures for main. The one we are using, and int main, int argc, *argv square brackets, which is how a program receives command line arguments, and which waits until chapter 18. 2 warnings here, because you will meet both in older material. Void main is not valid C. It turns up in old textbooks and in Turbo C tutorials, and some compilers tolerate it, but the standard does not permit it. Use int main void. And main with empty parentheses is legal, but in C it means something different from what it means in C++. In C89 it meant unspecified arguments. C23 finally made it identical to void. Write void, and you are unambiguous in every standard. And then the braces. A pair of braces delimits a block, also called a compound statement. Every function body is a block. Blocks nest inside one another, and this is the part that will matter enormously later. Each block introduces a new scope. So a name declared inside a block is simply invisible outside it. That one rule does a great deal of work for you in Chapter 4 when we look at where variables live and how long they last. So, to recap where we are, line 1 brings in a promise about printf. Line 2 says execution starts here and an integer goes back to the operating system at the end, and the braces mark out the body. Next lesson, the 3 lines inside them.